Hi everybody, Nutnfancy with another gun review. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the support. And as my schedule allows, I will knock out more gun reviews and knife reviews as always. Today we're going to talk about a really cool gun. It's the FN57 by FN Herstal, Belgium. Also, they have an entity in the United States as well. There's a lot to talk about with this gun, a lot of philosophy to intertwine with it, and also I need to show you the gun and the specifics of it. Now, as some background, I am not an expert on this gun, nor do I have firing experience with it yet. If I was going to wait until I have firing experience, you guys will never get this review pretty much. I just got too much else on my plate to stack it up like that, saying, hey, I'm not going to review it unless I fire it. So you need to understand that I don't, and I'll always tell you that. If I don't have firing experience with a weapon, I will say so. I'm not going to try to pull the wool over your eyes. However, I have done quite a bit of research on the gun. I think I can talk to several points of the pistol, both good and bad, and we'll cover those in this review. Like my Glock reviews, it may be multi-part. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee you there's no way we can cover everything in 10 minutes. And also, I'd like to extend a big thank you to Impact Guns. And if you're wondering where that's found, that's impactguns.com, one of the largest tactical weapon suppliers on the internet. And they are hosting this review, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Impact. Also, a lot of you guys think that everything I review I own. I do not. A high percentage of what I own is actually acquired through professional contacts. And I have both military and law enforcement contacts where I can pretty much secure any gun for review within reason and within a certain time frame. So please don't think this is all mine. It's not. This is not my gun. However, there's lots to talk about. Let's press on. The coolest thing about this model is one of their newer FN57s in flat dark earth. First off, I didn't do this yet. Let's go ahead and do a clearance drill on this. Make sure it's indeed empty. And we do a visual feel. It is empty magazine. That's an empty gun. So, like I was saying, this gun does come in several colors, black and flat dark earth. And it is in a proprietary cartridge, the 5.7 by 28 millimeter size. I'm not the expert on the caliber. I do know something of it though and how it's performed, and we'll talk about that here in a sec. Now, what we're going to do is just like I did in my Glock 17 review, is we're going to go down to certain points and characteristics of this pistol as we go along. And I will reference it to my standard, which is the Glock 17. And that's our baseline that I'm going to do all my reviews against. And then we'll say how it competes against the Glock 17 in the different categories, whether it does better or worse or about the same. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and I mentioned the coloration, we'll talk about that here in a second, but we're going to talk about weight. Now the Glock 17 weighs around 23 ounces. And that's a great standard of weight measurement. And if anything can come amongst that, I'm flipping through my Glock page just to make sure. I'm thinking it's 23 ounces. So much data to know. But let's just say it's 23 ounces, give or take a little bit on each side. But that's a hard standard to meet for any pistol designer. And I will say that FN Herstal has done an outstanding job with this gun. In terms of weight, the FN57 is exactly the same weight as a Glock. So actually it's a little bit lighter, and that's with the magazine out, so I'm seeing 21 ounces. 21 ounces with the magazine out. So with the magazine in, 23. And this is a modified magazine. I'll talk to that in just a little bit here. So in terms of weight, outstanding. The 5.7 and the FN design team has done a remarkable job of keeping weight to a minimum. And again, you know I'm really big on that weight is huge issue for me. And it should be for any operator, someone who is serious about doing tactical operations, whether you're a soldier, a law enforcement official, or just an armed citizen in whatever type of scenario you can imagine, doomsday or whatever. Weight's critical. So, good job on the weight. Really nice job. And part of that is they did not go with a metal magazine. They used somewhat like this magazine material reminds me of the SIG Trail Side. It's a very hard and durable polymer magazine, and they did just a great job on it. It's very sturdy. Now, does it compete in durability and reliability against the Glock? Well, we'll talk about that in a sec, but it's too new to tell. But on the flip side, they did not go with a metal magazine body, made it 100% polymer. Great job on that. Also, the polymer frame is very Glock-like. In fact, there's very little steel in it. There are steel reinforcements here. Well, I'll get to the takedown here in a bit, but overall, very Glock-like. If you look inside, there's just not a lot of metal in it. And where there is metal, it's judicious use and it's needed in that part of the pistol. So excellent job on the weight. How about durability and reliability? Okay, so we talked about the weight. It does measure exactly the same as a Glock 17. Durability it's harder to measure because this is a newer gun. It does not have the track record of a Glock 17, so it's hard to say because there's not hundreds upon hundreds of law enforcement agencies using this gun yet, or a large army having adopted it as a service weapon. So that being said, it's a little early to say. I will say this though, the FN Herstal is an outstanding company and they make very high quality weapons. And in my experience in firing, I only have limited experience in firing FNs, but they just work. Now, will they rise to the level of a Glock and SIG in reliability? Only time will tell. Seriously, only time's going to give them that that type of reputation. But from what I've read in my studies of this gun, it's extremely reliable and extremely durable. Maybe on the order of Glock. But that is a preliminary observation and I haven't proven it myself. But from all indications, I would be willing to say that this is going to develop an extremely good reputation in that category. Alright, so that's that. That's about all I can say about the durability and reliability as of yet, especially since I don't have trigger time on this. How about firepower? Well, first off, let's talk about the cartridge. And I do not have my FN catalog or my book here, and if I was to wait for it, guess what? You're not going to get the review. I just got to do it when I have time. I do know this though. The caliber, the 5.7, comes in different loadings. And the civilian loading, I forget the designation, it's a 40 grain bullet, and I think it's 1700 feet per second. And that's the sporting round that's designed for both the P90, which is the semi-automatic sporting carbine. It's a derivation of the subgun by FN, and also this companion pistol, this FN. I'll hopefully remember to talk about that relationship between those two weapons. But the real performance in this caliber comes with an SS-109 penetrator. Now that's a law enforcement only round. I think it comes out, this gun, at around 22, maybe 2100 feet per second, out the P90 at a lot more. And it's a very impressive round as far as penetration of Kevlar goes. And that speaks as to why it's a law enforcement only round. And I'm talking about the SS-109 5.7 by 28 round. Because since it is so deadly in penetrating armor, they are going to control that round and who gets it. In fact, the only way you can get it is if you are a bona fide law enforcement official, you send in your order to a certified warehouse back east, and they confirm you are who you say you are, and then they drop ship it direct from that bonded warehouse. And that's the only way you're going to get SS-109 ammo in 5.7. Except maybe the black market. There's always the black market. I mean, you know that. I'm not even going to talk to that. I'm talking about legal means of obtaining it. So what that leaves us with is the sporting round for most civilians. And then that's a lower powered round a bit, and it also is less velocity. And to me, that I kind of have an issue with that, and I'm running out of time here for part one. But the reason I have an issue is that I like my cars to go full speed. I don't want to governor on them, and that's kind of how I see the FN57 with lower powered rounds. We'll pick that up in part 2 of the FN57. Thanks.